Broadcasting from London, Ontario, Canada to the rest of the world, it's Ask the Top.
Thank you very much for tuning into this special edition of Ask the Top. Now, you may be asking, Chris, what makes this episode so special? Well, one of the big four is nearly upon us. It's almost Royal Rumble weekend. So on this edition of the program, I'm going to provide you with a full preview and set of predictions for NXT Takeover Philadelphia in the Royal Rumble. So you can feel the excitement in the air. I cannot wait to talk about it. Also, momentarily, my review of Raw 25. And we do not waste time on this program. It's one take, uncut. I don't plug sponsors for 10 minutes. I don't have sidebar conversations and talk about something completely mundane that you don't want to hear. We talk about wrestling right off the hop. But if you want to listen to new episodes of Ask the Top, subscribe to me on YouTube. Chris Toplack is my YouTube channel. ChrisToplack.com, TWM.news, TheReactionRoom.com. Subscribe to me on iTunes. And if you want to download a great podcast app, how about Overcast? You can listen to me on there. And if you want to interact with me on social media, I'm easy to find. Ask the Top is my pro wrestling page on Facebook. At Chris Toplack on Twitter, that's where I am my most active. At Chris Toplack on Instagram, primarily food photos. You'll drool, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. And Chris Toplack on Google+. So we have a lot of different avenues for you to interact with me. Now, normally what fuels this program, other than your questions, would be a delicious craft beer. Today, I put the craft beer down. I picked up Miller Lite to celebrate Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you watched Raw 25, he pounded back many, many Miller Lights after delivering some vicious stunners. So, to celebrate the Texas Rattlesnake, I'm sipping on a Miller Lite. Wish it was a craft beer, but you know what? All hail Stone Cold Steve Austin, the bionic redneck. So speaking of Raw 25, this show had all of the elements in place to be a memorable one. Perhaps even one of the best in recent memory. It's a bold statement, but it's true. But it ended up being one of the biggest letdowns in recent memory. It was a flop in my eyes. In fact, I had a poll on Twitter, and most gave it 2 stars or less. They also relied too heavily on old stars. And if you heard last week's episode, I mentioned they needed to avoid that like the plague. And unfortunately, they didn't really progress any storylines. Just didn't sense it was going to occur anyway. I was hopeful, though. And the dual venue concept just simply failed to connect. I mean, on the surface, it sounded great, but the execution of it was going to be far too difficult to pull off. The logistics didn't make much sense. The Manhattan Center received very little love, and for those who purchased tickets, it was by no means inexpensive either. So it felt as though they were left out. A big shout out to my good friends Dead and Old, aka Chris, in Not Moss KO from the Reaction Room. They were at ringside, so you may have actually seen them if you enjoy this program or you subscribe to their show on YouTube. They were very active at ringside. So despite the frustrated live crowd, Chris actually let me know that they made the most of their experience and they had the best time yet. And they've been to WrestleMania. They've been to many live events. They said this was the most fun they've had so far. So hopefully, and I've chatted with him, he'll make his way up to Canada at some point for a big WWE event or even a UFC event, and I'll actually catch up with them. Perhaps we'll record a show together. How about that? But let's talk about what I did enjoy. Vince McMahon turning heel in the live audience. That was awesome. He is still one of the greatest personalities in pro wrestling history. He still got it, for sure. The fact that he could come out and talk about how cheap the plaque was and, you know, how nobody helped him get to where he is, and then the glass shatters and boom, the appearance of Stone Cold Steve Austin not only did stun Vince, but also Shane as well, too. Still the biggest pop in pro wrestling. Make no mistake about it. If you want to create a big star and you want a big reaction, Stone Cold still trumps them all. Chris Jericho's appearance was fine. I'll still give it a big check mark just because he did appear in a backstage segment. But what I find odd about it, yes, it was very entertaining, especially with Elias. But Chris Jericho is arguably the most talked about wrestler in the world for months. I feel personally he deserved more than just a simple backstage segment. I didn't even want them to announce it, and to have him show up would have been outstanding. How about Elias smashing a guitar over John Cena's back? Now, in terms of progressing storylines, that's perhaps one of the only ones that did actually move ahead. Same with The Miz. He won the Intercontinental Championship back from Roman Reigns, and that was predictably satisfying for me. I figured it was going to happen, but I enjoyed it. The Miz enjoying his 8th IC title reign. He's just one behind Chris Jericho. Enzo Amore has been fired. I'll give you the lowdown on this from what we do know. On Tuesday, WWE.com announced that the company had parted ways with the Cruiserweight Champion. And essentially what happened was Enzo was recently accused of sexual misconduct. Again, I'm not saying this was true or false, just reporting it as is. It's being speculated that even if the allegations were false, the biggest mistake that he made is that he did not inform the WWE of this ongoing investigation. Listen, whether he is innocent or guilty, not disclosing this information to your publicly traded company, it's a very poor decision. So ultimately, that's what got him fired. So if he ends up being innocent, will they bring him back? I don't know. Can you even trust him at this point? I mean, you still need to disclose what's going on. If he went to management and said, hey, listen, here's what's going on. I'm innocent, but I just got to let you know. And they might say, hey, listen, from a standpoint of, optics, we have to remove you from television. That could have happened until the dust settles. He didn't even do that, apparently. So very reckless behavior, and who knows what's going to happen next. But enough about news. It's all about the Royal Rumble weekend, and it kicks off with NXT Takeover Philadelphia, taking place this coming Saturday, January the 27th from the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. The kickoff show at 7 p.m. in the East, the main card 8 p.m. in the East. It was just announced today by Triple H. The Velveteen Dream will be taking on Cassius Ohno. And I love Ohno, or formerly known as Chris Hero, but the Velveteen Dream desperately needs a victory in order to regain some momentum. His character is firing on all cylinders, so a victory would do him some definite good. Moving ahead, the NXT Tag Team Championship. It is the Undisputed Era as the champions taking on the Authors of Pain. Now, AOP recently defeated Street Profits for a chance to potentially regain their belts after losing them to Sanity at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3, which was a great event, by the way. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly recently defeated Sanity on an episode of NXT. Came out of left field, but that's how we got here. Now, AOP definitely has the size advantage. It's actually kind of mind-boggling they're entering this match as baby faces, but I simply don't see Fish and O'Reilly losing their championships this soon into their title reign. So I'm predicting the Undisputed Era retains their NXT Tag Team Championship with dirty tactics. Dun, dun, dun. Or the dusty finish. You never know. Adam Cole, baby, takes on Aleister Black in an Extreme Rules match. These two first squared off in a number one contender qualifying match that saw Black win with a picture-perfect Black Mass. I mean, they all look picture-perfect. Black advanced to the Fatal 4-Way to determine the next challenger for the NXT Championship, and due to Cole's interference, Black took his first pinfall in NXT. So with Black already defeating Adam Cole cleanly weeks ago, I can't imagine the same scenario will occur. I mean, part of me believes that Aleister Black is going to win this match, but I'm going with Adam Cole due to some interference. The Undisputed Era, of course, can claim, hey, we did it again. Look at us, winning continuously. We're running this show. Moving ahead, the NXT Women's Championship. It is the champ Ember Moon taking on Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler enters this match as perhaps the most feared female wrestler not named Asuka. And while she was predominantly featured in the Mae Young Classic, Shayna has essentially, not entered the ring ever since she fell short and she lost to Kairi Sane. Now, I love the fact that they're saving her NXT in-ring debut for such a big stage, but I find it mind-boggling, and same logic applies to AJ Styles, that Ember Moon is really risking it all by saying, sure, you know what, I'll put my back against the wall. I'll fight you, even though William Regal said you're not the next contender. I'll fight you anyway. So Ember Moon scratched and clawed her way into becoming the NXT Women's Champion. But her heroic nature is likely going to come back to bite her. She came up short twice to Asuka. And this is a Shayna Baszler. This shares many similarities to the Empress of Tomorrow. My prediction, the title reign will end abruptly. It's going to be a short one. Shayna Baszler becomes the new NXT Women's Champion in her real NXT debut. That's pretty amazing. The NXT Championship. Andrade Cien Almas, the champion, taking on Johnny Gargano, a.k.a. Mr. Wrestling, one of my favorite performers on the planet today. Gargano is 0-2 against Almas and also just recently suffered a tough losing skid, but he's recovered in a big way. He's had victories over the Velveteen Dream, Ono, and a pinfall over Aleister Black. Johnny Wrestling has defied the odds to become the number one contender. I've been happy to see it. Now, on the flip side, ever since Selena Vega joined his side, Andrade Cien Almas has been a completely different animal. He knows how to win and win often. His upset victory over Drew McIntyre was definitely really impressive, but Almas still feels like a beatable champion, and perhaps that's also what makes this match so interesting, is when you have a beatable champion, but you also have a beatable contender. Momentum is on Johnny Gargano's side, and a victory over Almas would provide the NXT faithful with a really feel-good moment. But two scenarios could occur. You know where I'm going here. Tommaso Ciampa interferes and costs Johnny Gargano the match, or Gargano wins. Perhaps Ciampa shows up on stage, says congratulations, and that's where they go from there. My prediction, I'm going with option B. Johnny Gargano wins and sets up a huge match with Tommaso Ciampa at NXT Takeover New Orleans just ahead of WrestleMania 34. So that's NXT. I'm looking forward to that probably just as much as the Royal Rumble. And the Royal Rumble takes place this coming Sunday, January the 28th. A shout out to my pops. He'll be celebrating his 68th birthday on January the 28th. He's actually going to join the guys here. We're going to watch the Royal Rumble together. What a way to spend your birthday. Drinking some beer, having some food, enjoying men and women get thrown out of a ring. Happy birthday. Kickoff show starts at 5 p.m. in the East. The main card, 7 p.m. in the East. Remember, this show is 4 hours in length. Originally, we were supposed to have the Cruiserweight Championship match, Enzo Amore taking on Cedric Alexander, but again, due to allegations of sexual misconduct, Enzo Amore was suspended and pulled from the match. So let's just move ahead with what we know we have is the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The Usos, the champions, taking on Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin in a 2 of 3 falls match. Gable and Benjamin were the SmackDown Tag Team Champions for roughly a hot minute. That was about it. But I felt as though it may have been a sneak peek into the future. They were smug, arrogant, and fully prepared to show that side of themselves on a weekly basis. I dug it. Not all good things last, though, as that decision was immediately reversed. They went to replay, which is very inconsistent in the WWE. Sometimes they do, most times they don't. The Usos, on the other hand, arguably the hottest tag team in professional wrestling, but they can afford to lose this match without positioning themselves lower on the card. They don't really take a big hit. So my prediction, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin become the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. A change is a brewing. Over to Raw for the Raw Tag Team Championship match. It's Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan, the odd fellas, an odd pairing here, taking on The Bar. Because they don't just set the bar, they are the bar. Seth Rollins is admired. Jason Jordan is flat out hated at this point. He's receiving that Rocky Maivia heat. It's an interesting dynamic between them, and it's actually made for a very intriguing pairing overall. Now, The Bar is a well-oiled machine looking to reclaim their titles. And while The Bar will always be in the title picture, I can't see Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins losing so prematurely without a big blow at the very least. So my prediction, I'll get to this a little bit later, Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan to retain after the latter cheats to win. That will be Jason Jordan. WWE Championship, AJ Styles, the champ, taking on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It's a handicap match. I don't understand why he agreed to this. Again, flawed logic, same with Ember Moon. You know what? I don't need to fight you. I'll fight you anyway, and I could potentially lose it all. But I guess he likes it when the odds are stacked against him. Now, this match seems to be overshadowed by the ongoing tension between Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. And again, while the odds are stacked against AJ, there's simply no way the WWE would allow a duo to share a major championship on a Big Four pay-per-view. It's not going to happen. The phenomenal one, AJ Styles, the face that runs the place, will retain the WWE Championship. And we'll get to that a little bit later on, too. Universal Championship. It's Brock Lesnar, the champ, taking on the monster among men, Braun Strowman, and Kane. Now, Kane is literally a part of this match. Let's just, address the elephant in the room, because he's going to take the pinfall. That's it. So let's eliminate him before I even carry on any further. So it comes down to Lesnar and Strowman. Who wins? Well, given the sheer chaos that Strowman has caused on Raw, the monster among men would be a suitable choice as the Universal Champion. He has my vote. But Brock Lesnar always seemingly finds a way to win, and Kane is that golden ticket. So my prediction is that Brock Lesnar will retain the Universal Championship. And we'll get to that shortly as well, too. The reason why I say that is because the Royal Rumble could let you know who's going to take them on. So let's talk about the Royal Rumble for a second before we get to the Women's Royal Rumble and the Men's Royal Rumble. Wanted to go over this. The odds of winning the Royal Rumble based on what your entrance number is, or your entrant number is, I should say. So the top 5. If you're entering as number 30, your chances of winning are 5-1. And number 29, 6-1. 28, 6-1. 27, 8-1. And number 1, 9-1. So basically, if you're 30, 29, 28, 27, or number 1, you're probably going to win the Royal Rumble. Let's go with the Women's Royal Rumble. First, is actually just announced via Twitter by Stephanie McMahon that she's going to be joining the announce team for the Women's Royal Rumble. She says that this is one of her all-time most memorable moments in terms of announcing that on Raw, so she wants to be a part of it. I think she's going to be taking away a little bit of the thunder, but I understand why they have her there. They want her tied into this. So it was announced Monday night that the event will include 30 participants, just like the men's match. So at this point, I believe we have about 18. So I want to run down the list of who's actually going to be participating so far. You have Naomi, Asuka, Natalya, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, of course, of the Riott Squad. You have Sasha Banks, Bayley, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Carmella, Tamina, Lana, Mickie James, Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, Alicia Fox, and Dana Brooke, who stands no chance of winning this match. I'd love to see what the betting odds are like for her. So some of my predictions, who else are we going to see? I'm thinking we're going to see Nikki Bella for sure. If you saw her on Raw 25, she's in ring shape. She looks great. I don't think we're going to see Brie, but I think we're going to see Nikki. How about Beth Phoenix, Trish Stratus, Kelly, perhaps Nikki Cross? Those are some names I'm tossing around that could appear in this match. Now, the Women's Royal Rumble top 5 betting odds. You have Ronda Rousey as an 11-8 favorite, followed by Asuka 6-4, Becky Lynch 6-1, Nia Jax 8-1, and Nikki Bella 10-1. So Triple H has even alluded to Ronda Rousey signing with the WWE. I'm just imagining they're going to save her debut until WrestleMania. Now, if, and that's a bold capital letter, if she were to enter this match, she would win. She'd square off against Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 34, perhaps, I don't know, someone else. But it would make sense that she takes on Charlotte Flair as she says, I'm the queen, right? And imagine those two athletic individuals going one-on-one. My other top choice, if Ronda Rousey is not in this match, is Asuka, because 29 other women are not ready for Asuka. So if Ronda is in the match, she's winning it. If she's not, it's going to be Asuka. I think Nia Jax and Becky Lynch are also suitable choices too. Move it ahead. The men's Royal Rumbleless match. Again, just like the women's, 30 men. It's an over-the-top rope affair. You know what it's like. 17 entrants so far. It's likely going to main event the show. Let's run through who's on it. You have Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Big E. So the New Day will be representing. You have Ty Dillinger, The Miz, Titus O'Neil, Apollo Crews, Aiden English, Rusev, Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt, Baron Corbin, Finn Balor, John Cena. Basically a free agent. He's the one guy where you can't really define where he stands. Shinsuke Nakamura, Randy Orton, and Elias. So you have 17. You have a lot of spots to fill. I mean, could Samoa Joe be a part of that, right? He announced his participation, but then remember, he had to pull out due to a foot injury. He could still show up. So there's a lot of individuals that could still show up. I mean, we still have 13 potentially that could make their way there. So I'm hoping for some great ones. I mean, you could see Shane McMahon. That's a possibility too. So we have a lot of individuals that could enter this match. I'm predicting a couple different things. I think Dolph Ziggler's going to return. I'll talk about betting favorites in a second. I mean, he's a high betting favorite, but I don't believe that. I think Jason Jordan is going to eliminate Seth Rollins. That is for sure. Seems too early for Dean Ambrose to return. Doubt we're going to see Goldberg. It's not going to be a ton of legends, perhaps maybe a Billy Gunn or a Road Dogg. Doubt we're going to see Triple H. Now, the men's Royal Rumble top 5 betting odds. Shinsuke Nakamura, 5-6 betting favorite. Roman Reigns, 5-2. Daniel Bryan, 9-2, who hasn't been physically cleared yet, or has he? Ooh. If he enters and he wins, imagine that pop. AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania? My God. I wouldn't be able to contain myself if that happens. Roof would blow off. Dolph Ziggler, 9-2. I told you. I mean, he has the same odds as winning as Daniel Bryan, which doesn't make sense. We're not going to see Dolph Ziggler headlining WrestleMania. Nothing against him. Talented performer, pretty good character, but he's just not at that level. And then Finn Balor, 7-1. I'd still love to see Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar. Sign me up for that one. Really, I would rather see Nakamura, Balor, or Bryan win this match. My top pick to win the Royal Rumble is the artist known as Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura versus AJ Styles is a match for diehard wrestling fans, and it deserves a main event slot on WrestleMania 34. I mean, they had the opportunity to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom 10, and now they have the opportunity to top that classic. Now, for Nakamura, he desperately needs a big victory in order to regain momentum, as his booking on the main roster has been poor, flat out. So he needs this. And I think he has enough star power and he generates enough of a reaction to win this match. So how about that? Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles, WrestleMania 34. Now, love it or hate it, you know where I'm going with this. The other top choice to win the Royal Rumble has to be Roman Reigns. I'm not just talking about betting favorite, but it just makes sense because they want to rematch him and Lesnar from WrestleMania 31, which, to be honest, was one of my all-time favorite WrestleManias. I loved the main event. I loved Seth Rollins cashing in. It's a memorable moment. And actually, those two, one-on-one, were having an amazing match. I thought that was probably one of the best matches. At that point, probably the best match of Roman Reigns' career, especially from a solo perspective. It was fantastic. So I love that match. Some great tension. Brock was basically falling apart at that point, and then Seth came down and crushed Roman's dreams. So Roman Reigns still has to be a betting favorite to win the match. John Cena has been thrown around, but I can't see him winning. I mean, there's still some talk that he may face The Undertaker at WrestleMania. So I still don't know about that one, but I'm sticking with Shinsuke Nakamura. So I believe Shinsuke is going to win the Men's Royal Rumble. And again, it's going to be Ronda if she's announced, if she shows up, or if not, it's going to be Asuka winning the Royal Rumble. So Japan representing the Royal Rumble potentially. But that's going to do it for my predictions in my preview. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you want to throw some names in there? Interact with me and let me know all over social media. And as always, I appreciate you supporting this program on a bi-weekly or even weekly basis. Sometimes I like to mix it up and do it back to back. If it were up to me, I would do this every week. So keep sending in your questions and perhaps we'll do this on a weekly basis. It's 2018 after all. I set the rules. We can do whatever we want. So enjoy NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. Enjoy the Royal Rumble. We'll do this again soon. Happy trails to you until we meet again.